It would be really weird if this didn't come up for you as a parent of a teen. What to do when your teenager hates you? Usually hate means something different. It usually means, hey, I don't like the limits that you just set for me.
Yeah, and we see it in movies all the time with teenagers, right? That the parent has just set a limit they didn't like, and so it goes immediately to, I hate you.
You know, I'm remembering a time when I was seeing a 13-year-old girl and her mother. And they had their first meeting with me, and we talked a little bit about some effective limit setting. And this girl was kind of going off the rails in a lot of ways. And the second visit, I still remember, I looked out the window. I heard the car door slam. And I look out the window, and this girl is just storming into the building. Mom gets out nice and calm, and she's smiling. I'm thinking something is different. Well, this girl bursts through the door. She doesn't even wait for me to open it and welcome her in. She bursts through the door, and she points me out, and she says, "You are ruining my life."
Mom must have figured out a few limits.
Oh, and then Mom comes in, and she's smiling. She's like, "Dr. Paul, I'm glad we're paying you to do this." I had the same reaction that you did. I kind of chuckled a little bit.
Right.
And
here's the thing, hate, it is a word that usually creates a real emotional response for us. And that's
Right.
one of the reasons our children use it.
Sure.
And so I think we have to be able to just kind of back off a little bit and see it for what it is, that it's a word, it's a statement that they've made, and then be aware of what your thought process, don't go to, I must be doing things wrong, or, those thought processes. Maybe go, maybe I'm on the right trail. Choose that thought and go down
Yes.
that path, because it probably means that these limits are the ones that they're needing.
well, what's your relationship with this person? BFFs?
Right.
You're the parent first. Now, I think we should have a friendly relationship with our
Definitely.
kids. And Vicki, we talk about this all the time. Your job is to
Love
love them, no matter what and even if. So with all of that being said, you're first a parent, not a friend.
Well, and when that happens, I think you just brought up a great point. Instead of saying, man, I must be doing something wrong, say, I'm doing a pretty good job as a parent because I do love them and I'm setting some limits, and then go from there.
Right. So the summary of that maybe is keep calm and parent on.
Right.
We should do a t-shirt.
That's a
right?
pretty common one, yep.
Keep calm and parent on. Don't get tipped over by this thing. And next, let's check our limits. Remember, I hate you is translated to mean I don't like the limit you just set.
And I think it's really, really important, especially, a lot of parents are like, I really do want to be best friends with my kid. They're finally old enough. We can converse and things. It's common in a moment to have just a reflexive
Right, gut response.
right.
Of, no.
And so sometimes we set a limit that we haven't actually thought through, and maybe we're not that committed to. And so it is worth just looking at, okay, is what I'm doing reasonable? Is the request I'm asking reasonable, or the limit that I've set? And if it is, hold your ground. But if it isn't, go ahead and apologize and do a do-over.
Oh, it's okay to back off of a limit that doesn't make sense to you in your saner moments.
Right.
And this doesn't destroy your authority as a parent. In fact, I think that it adds to your credibility if your kids know that they can trust you to do something that's right and reasonable.
Yeah, they're probably more likely at some point, hey, Mom, can we talk about that limit, rather than going straight to the I hate you. You might not want to back off the moment they said I hate you, because there are cause effect. But it's okay to just kind of back off, take a look at it, determine the reasonability of it, and then either change or stick with it. How many times have we stuck with something just because we said we were going to do it, but we weren't really convicted? It wasn't even the right reason.
We're not even on board with it.
So go ahead
Right.
and back off when you need to.
Yes, that speaks to humility. And I also love what you're saying, Vicki, because when we give feedback from our kids, and think of, I hate you, you're ruining my life. Think of that as feedback. And rather than getting defensive, stay calm, take a look. Just say, oh, interesting. My child is giving me feedback that they're experiencing me to be this hateful ogre. I'll check. And then go look, right? I mean, take a look, back up, take a look. and check yourself. I love that.
One of the next steps is maybe work on the communication with your child.
yeah.
And one of the things I like about this is we've used the wording in our family, how can I get this to happen or whatever, right?
What would it take?
What would it take? And I think there is an option in the quieter moment. Now, when your child is yelling, I hate you, is probably not the time to talk to them about communication, right?
Weather the storm.
Weather the storm, come back to it. But you can talk to them about respectful communication and say, okay, especially where you're willing to look at the reasonability of your request,
Of the limits
right?
that you're setting.
So you can say, let's talk about this. What would it take for you to be able to go to the dance on Saturday night, right?
Yes.
And you can explore that. And the answer might be, you're not going to go to the dance, right? But
Could
the
be.
answer might be, if you go with these particular friends, you come home at this time,
Under these conditions or parameters.
And so you're kind of teaching them that there are other ways to get what they want, because, you're trying to help this teenager. Hopefully they're going to be getting employment soon. And there's got to be some ways to work out a situation you don't like with people
Right.
and the emotional outbursts are not the best way to get what you want. We've learned that as adults, most of us, and so let's start teaching it to them now. So let's work on some communication.
The training they're getting in our home is the training that they take out there into the world with them. So you're right, Vicki. I think these problem-solving skills are nurtured and developed in those contexts. It's a great opportunity. One of the most powerful principles that can help you as a parent, especially with your teens, is to detach yourself from the outcomes.
That's such a hard one. Oh, gosh.
Well, the reason we get all fired up about things is because we are attached to the outcomes.
Right. Yeah. And we want so much for our child to be happy, right?
Right.
And so the outcome, we just need to be okay with them not liking a limit.
Yes. And acknowledging and honoring their choice. You don't control your teenager. Don't know if you noticed that already.
Really can't.
You don't have the control. So because you don't control it, you have to detach yourself from the outcome. This puts you in a position of power.
Now, be really careful when we talk about detaching from the outcome. We are not talking about becoming parents who are not invested in or caring or loving.
Right.
You are very loving all the way through this, but you're committed to loving the child and detaching from the outcome.
That's why we say love them no matter what and even if. Because they're going to throw some even ifs at you. Even if I defy your limits?
Yeah.
Even if I do it anyway? Yes, we're clear about that. That's why you detach yourself from the outcome. It's like, well, I'm going to love you either way. I can do my job either way. And then you're clear about the limits in a nice way.
Right.
Probably they don't actually hate you. That's the good news. But this can be hard. Parenting is not for the weak of heart. We've got your back. Come to Live on Purpose Central. Quickest way to get there? go.liveonpurposecentral.com. We've got all kinds of resources there that you may not have even known about.
Her head was down, face locked onto her phone.